Welcome back, everybody. Today, we're going to be doing a deep dive into one of my favorite bodies of water here in East Tennessee. We're going to be talking about Tellico Lake. So if you're someone who's been interested in buying property on Tellico Lake, or you're just looking for general information about Tellico Lake, then this is going to be the video for you. Okay, today we're going to break down all things Tellico Lake, from marinas to winter drawdown. We're going to talk about some towns surrounding Tellico Lake. We're going to talk about pricing and inventory, and just really give you guys the best, just complete guide I can to Tellico Lake. Now, before we get started, I did want to let you guys know that I just made a video like this going over Fort Loudon Lake. Fort Loudon Lake is kind of a neighboring lake to Tellico, and if you're interested in Tellico, you may also be interested in that. So I'm going to link it here and at the end of the video, just in case you want to give that video a view as well. But without further ado, let's dive right in and let's start off with some facts about Tellico Lake. So Tellico Lake was made in 1980 by TVA, which stands for Tennessee Valley Authority. And Tellico is 16,056 surface acres. So it's about the same size as Fort Loudon. Both are really big reservoirs. And so if we zoom in on a map here, what we'll find is that Tellico Lake stretches from Chilhowie Dam all the way to Lenoir City to Tellico Dam. Okay, so like I said, it's a fairly big reservoir. Now, if we back up and look at Chilhowie Dam, above Chilhowie Dam is Chilhowie Lake. And through several different river systems, if you follow it upriver, you're eventually going to get to Fontana Lake, which is, a larger lake in the mountains that kind of feeds everything, right? So all this water is coming down through the Appalachian Mountains and going into Tellico. Now, because of that, Tellico is technically a cold water impound. But now don't let that worry you. There's no like glaciers or anything like that floating around Tellico. It's certainly not that cold of water. It's actually very refreshing. In my opinion, it's a wonderful temperature in the summertime. But as we move down from Chilhowie Dam, I want to talk about just some other bodies of water that kind of flow into Tellico. And the first one we have here is Citico Creek. Now, Citico Creek is not a large body of water by any means. It's a little bit smaller than the Little River, if you guys have ever seen that in the Great Smoky Mountains. But it's kind of your typical, like, when you're riding through the mountains and you see like a little river, it's kind of your typical mountain river, I guess. And so it pumps into Tellico here. And then if we follow Tellico River up a little bit further and we see this giant creek system, at the very tail end of this creek system, this is where Tellico River flows into Tellico Lake. Okay, Tellico River comes from the South Cherokee National Forest. So it's, again, at one of those little mountain streams or mountain rivers, whatever you want to call it. It flows all the way down the mountain into Tellico Plains and then into Tellico Lake. Okay. Now, other than that, there's not really any other major bodies of water other than a couple small feeder creeks that pour into Tellico. So here we are at the end of Tellico, and I do want to kind of show you some things here. Okay, so Tellico does one of two things, right? And it depends on what TVA wants to do or what TVA is doing with the water, because TVA really controls pretty much all of the Tennessee River water systems, right? So if TVA is pumping, water through the system, like if we get a lot of rain or something like that, then the dam is going to be wide open and they're going to be, pushing water. Now, if not, then they may have that dam kind of shut down a little bit, and then a lot of this water is going to pull up and kind of go through the canal into Fort Loudon Lake. Now, this canal, there's no dam or anything right there. This is just a bridge that you see on the map. This is a completely navigable waterway. There's no locking through dams or anything. I mean, you can drive a houseboat or a yacht through there if you want to. So I wanted to let you guys know that, just so you sort of could understand, kind of the tail end of Tellico. Because it is kind of confusing, because right here you've got Tellico Lake, you've got Fort Loudon Lake, and then you've got Watts Bar Lake, which is what Tellico and Fort Loudon eventually pour into. And so since we're on the topic of dams, I do want to talk about that. So TVA started damming up the Tennessee River a long time ago. I think it was back in the 30s or 40s, to help prevent flooding and also to generate electricity. Right, but we did have a really big problem with flooding back then. So they dammed up these different sections, and now they're able to, hold water back or push water through depending on what they need to do. And so with TVA controlling the water and doing such a good job, there's really not a ton to fear when it comes to flooding from, your lake home or anything like that. In fact, I can't remember the last time any of these lake houses flooded. We even had a crazy amount of rain a few years ago, and I really don't think that they had any issues there. I don't remember seeing it or anything. I could be wrong. Do the research yourself, as you always should. But I can tell you this: if I could afford a lake house on Tellico, I'd have done bought it, and I would not be worried about the flooding at all. So while we're on the topic of flooding, this is going to be a good time to talk about the winter drawdown. Maybe you guys have heard about this and maybe you haven't, but every year, usually towards the end of fall, the end of October, TVA is going to drop the water levels. Now, the water levels are going to be about the same as Fort Loudon since they're connected. So you're going to be looking at about 6 vertical feet that the water is going to come down. And then around April time, as the weather is getting nicer, that water is going to come back up. Now, the reason that they drop the water levels is to accommodate for the winter flooding season, right? So we get, like I said, 52, 53 inches of rain every year. And so a lot of that comes late fall into winter. And so they're going to drop the water level to make sure that your lake house doesn't get washed away, right? Now, a lot of people are worried about that because, people ask me, well, does that mean that I'm just going to be looking at a mud pit? Does that mean I'm not going to have any water under my dock? Like, what does that mean? Well, it really is just simple math. It depends on how much water is under the dock to begin with. If you're off the main channel, you're going to have water year round, right? Because Tellico gets deeper. I mean, it's got places that are over 100 feet deep, and most all of the channel is at least 70 feet deep. So you're going to have plenty of water year round, and lots of people use the water during the winter, myself included. I do a lot of fishing and may just go on a boat ride from time to time. I may use it to access some hunting spots. Any of those scenarios could happen, and you'll see a lot of other people out there fishing and just doing their thing. Now, you're not going to see a lot of people tubing, I will say that. But anyways, I say all that to say that there's plenty of water still. The biggest problem that you're going to come into is if you live in the back of one of these little creeks where it's shallow, right? Because if you've only got 5 feet of water underneath your dock, well, when they drop it, you're going to have 0 feet of water under your dock. Okay. Now, that doesn't mean that you're going to be looking at a mud pit. I mean, it could, if your whole cove is just really shallow, it could just all be shoreline. But the majority of the time, what it's going to mean is just that you're going to see a lot more shore, but you're still going to have like a deeper, channel here that goes out to the main channel, and so you're still going to have, a lake view more than likely. Okay, so with winter drawdown, I really wouldn't worry too much about it. This is something that you have to plan for, though. Around the time that they're going to be, dropping the water or raising it, you want to make sure to, have your boats situated. So a lot of people use lifts around here to, bring their boat up, they'll winterize it or whatever, and you're good to go. Or you can use one of the public boat ramps to just pull your boat out for the winter. Or you could use one of the several marinas that we have to store your boat there. It's really up to you and what you feel comfortable with. I will say, if you're someone who's looking to use the lake during the winter time, especially if you're a fisherman, you're going to want to find property that has deeper water underneath the dock, and you're going to want to get yourself a boat lift. And finding yourself a good real estate agent who understands the water, that'll help you out a lot, because they'll be able to, put you in the right direction as far as looking at the right homes. The only other thing I want to go over with the dams is current. Some people, actually a client the other day was talking about kayaking, and she was like, I don't want to get washed away, and I was like, listen, there's not that much current, okay? 90% of the time, you're not even going to realize that there's current on the lake. The times that you are going to feel that current are going to be after a lot of rain, and that's probably going to be the times that you don't want to be out there anyways, right? So when we get a lot of rain, TVA is going to open up those dams, water's going to be, spilling through. They're going to be moving a whole crap ton of water to make sure nothing floods and to wash it all out. And you're also going to see that the lakes are probably going to turn a little bit muddy. And it's not going to be the prettiest thing, but the good thing about it is that it washes through so fast. I mean, usually by like the next day, it's all, gone through the system and everything's nice again. Okay, and so now that we've got kind of more of the informational, nerdy stuff out of the way, now I want to talk about kind of the things that I love so much about Tellico Lake. And of all the lakes that we have around, Tellico is probably the one that my wife and I visit the most for several reasons. One of those is just the beauty. I mean, Tellico is really pretty. You're closer to the mountains, so you've got obviously lake views, but you've also got really pretty mountain views. Something nice about Tellico as well is there's a lot of public land there right along the lake, and that prevents people from being able to build homes on those properties, and that is a really nice thing because it keeps it from being overly developed. You look at some of these lakes like Fort Loudon and it's just houses and boat docks everywhere, but on Tellico it's not really like that. Like, yeah, you do have a lot of houses, you've got a lot of boat docks and marinas and stuff, but you're also going to have these sections where it's just really, really pretty, green ridges, just mountains. It's just nice, and so that's certainly one of my favorite things about Tellico. I also like, speaking of public land, I love that there's so much public land around. If you like to hike or walk your dog, there's trails all up and down, one side of Tellico Lake. If you like to hunt, there's tons of public hunting land. If you want to go camping, there's lots of public camping spots. If you're someone who's into horses, there's actually a big WMA called Ware's Bend. And at Ware's Bend, there's hundreds of acres of riding trails, right? And it goes all like up this huge peninsula, and all around the lake. So it's really pretty, and tons of people take advantage of that. When we zoom into the map here, you'll see, we'll do a street view, and I guarantee you we'll see some horses and trailers. And yep, so you see here, there's people getting their horses ready. So this is a really cool little deal, if you're someone who, wants to, ride your horses or anything like that. Another thing that I really like about Tellico is the marinas. So my wife and I actually met at a marina in Tellico. We met at Dockside, which was really cool. We also got married on Tellico, and we'll talk about that a little later. But there's other cool marinas too. There's like Mud Puppies. We go there a lot. There's several marinas around, the Tellico Village area. There's a marina around Wind River. So as far as the marinas go, you're going to be covered there. I really like Mud Puppies and Dockside. They have really good food, good drinks, pretty views. Those are really good ones to check out. And these marinas also, like I said earlier, if you want to store your boat, or if you have an extra boat, or, if you're someone that's not even looking, at lake property, you're just trying to get an idea of Tellico Lake, then this is a great place for you to, store your boat if you don't have, a dock, right? So the marinas down here are awesome. But I did want to take a minute to talk about kind of just your recreational stuff that you can do on Tellico. And I mean, it comes down to everything, right? If you're into fishing, Tellico is a really good fishery. And I'll tell you this, if you Google it, they say that it's kind of infertile, and so it's not a great fishery. But listen, go watch the Bassmaster Classic from like 2 years ago, and the guy won it in Tellico. I personally have caught a lot of fish in Tellico, so if you are a fisherman, don't let that spook you. It's a perfectly fine fishery. Also, you've got tons of, your wakeboarding, your tubing, jet skiing, all that good stuff. There's lots of islands you can pull up to. So you got some islands, you got some sandbars. You know, from a recreational standpoint, you can do anything on Tellico that you can do on any large lake. You know, your kayaking, your paddleboarding, you know, all that good stuff. And now I want to talk about just some surrounding towns and communities around Tellico Lake that I think you should check out if you are looking for a property. Okay. So on one side, we're going to have basically Blount County and Loudoun. It's the greenback part of Loudoun. On the other side, we're going to have Monroe County and Loudoun County. Okay. So we're going to start on this side, and we'll start down here in the kind of Von or Maryville area. And so down here, what you're going to see is there's a lot of public land. So again, that's nice because it's not going to be overly developed. You are going to have some sections, you know, of like a creek that comes up where you're going to have, you know, some homes that'll sell, but there's not a ton of inventory right here. Now, if we go across the lake into the Von Or area, now we're kind of starting to get into a little bit more inventory. There's still a lot of public land over here, but there's a lot more residential land as well. And certainly as we cross the bridge, we kind of get up here into this Rarity Bay area. So Rarity Bay is basically like a golfing community. Really, really nice homes though. Very nice homes. Rarity Bay is super nice. And as we go up from Rarity Bay, we get into this Tellico Village area. Now, Tellico Village is one of the coolest communities that I know of in Tennessee. And it's been that way forever. As a matter of fact, my first job ever was weed eating yards in Tellico Village. By the time I got done, like I couldn't feel my fingers. Like I just felt like they were constantly shaking. But anyways, I digress. Tellico Village is a wonderful community. You've got lots of clubs, lots of events, lots of stuff to do. There's golf courses, there's marinas, there's restaurants, there's healthcare options, there's grocery store. I mean, there's just so much going on in Tellico Village. It is a really special place. Now, the kicker to it is that, you know, you do have higher HOAs and you do have, you know, it's pretty heavily restricted. But if you can deal with all that, boy, that's a really cool place to retire, especially if you're someone who's looking for community, you want to make some friends. Really cool place. And so Tellico Village kind of stretches all the way up this side of Tellico Lake. You do have some stuff up in here in the Loudoun area, kind of the same situation though. But now if we cross the river, look on the other side, this is where we're getting into this Lenoir City area, and you're going to find this really cool subdivision, Wind River, or community, I should say. Wind River is gorgeous. It's kind of the same thing as Rarity Bay. It's a big golf community, but it's gated. There's a little restaurant there. And actually, my wife and I got married here. They have a really pretty lake venue, and so that's where we decided to get married since we met on the lake. So that's really cool. They actually have a restaurant there called Cityco, and my wife and I go every other year to Cityco for dinner on our anniversary, just to kind of go back. It was cool this year we got to go because she's pregnant, so it's like, you know, I don't know, it's kind of a special thing for us. Anyways, as we kind of come down from Lenoir City, we're sort of getting into this greenback area of Loudoun County. And this is where you're going to see a lot of public land. Again, I know it stings because it's like there's not a ton of inventory, but it is so pretty and it just keeps the place nice, you know, just keeps it really nice. Okay, and so as we come down, that's really about it. You're kind of getting back into the Von Or area here. That's really going to be it for inventory. There is still a good amount, and we're about to go over that. So what I did here was I ran numbers from January 1 through like October 27th, whatever, right around the date it is today. And I'm pulling numbers from this year. So I'm going to do both land and houses to give you guys an idea of kind of, you know, what the prices are like in inventory. So we're going to start with Lake Homes, okay? So we had 48 properties sell this year for a median sales price of $1.3 million, okay? And now of those 48 properties that sold, it looks like 60.4% of them sold within 30 days on the market. So 60% of homes are selling within 30 days on the market. If we look at lots, we had 39 sell for a median sold price of $350,000. And of those lots, 53.8% of them sold within 30 days on market. Okay, so those are the numbers. Do keep in mind that we're looking at median prices. So you've got some a lot higher, you got some that are a lot lower. If you're interested in looking, more deeply into prices, just give me a call, text, email, whatever works for you, and we can kind of talk it through. But with that, I'm going to go ahead and end this video. Thank you guys so much for watching. I really appreciate it. Hopefully you guys learned something. And if you have any additional questions, please reach out to me. I promise you, I do not mind answering your questions. I want to help as many of y'all as I can get moved here to our great state. So y'all have a wonderful day, and I'll catch y'all in the next video. Thanks. Bye.